Jan, I can't eat dairy and I can't have gluten. I'm just going to not have them at all. That's it. I get bloated, I get constipation, I get diarrhea, I burp, I fart. I just feel like shit when I eat gluten and dairy. I have no energy, brain fog, it all goes on. So I'm just not going to have it. I'd love $1 for every time I've heard someone say that. The reality is just eliminating does nothing to fix the problem. We're in that problem because stress has put the fire out in our gut. Food is stewing instead of digesting. Our gut chemistry, microbiome, and everything is out of balance. That's why you are intolerant. So I've just had enough. I'm just gonna, that's it. It's out. I'm just not gonna have any. Well, do you know what? With that thinking, that does nothing to fix the problem. Nothing. If we just eliminate, that's a band-aid. And all you're doing is keeping a body with an out of balanced body system. Our gut microbiome, our gut digestive system is all out of whack. It's out of whack generally because of stress. Stress puts high cortisol puts fire out in the belly, food stews instead of digesting. So if you just keep eliminating foods that you become sensitive to, your body is still out of balance. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk about how you're reacting negatively to things like gluten and dairy and how to bring them back into balance, because just eliminating is not cool and doesn't get my naturopath tick. You're not fixing the problem, you're doing a band-aid, and it's a shortcut to more problems down the track. Let's get in and actually rebalance the body chemistry. Much better solution. So what I've seen as a naturopath is that gluten and dairy intolerances are just increasing. And I get that there's serious discomfort for people who are dairy and gluten intolerant. And so they're thinking, I just want the shit out of my life. It's not helping me. It's like, it's terrible. And so the thinking is just get rid of it. The problem is what you're doing is you're absolutely overlooking, you are missing that underlying cause of the sensitivities. So we know that stress, and it can be physical, emotional, mental, environmental, any of those kind of things. Whenever our body's put in survival mode, cortisol rises, puts a fire out in the belly. And I've done lots of podcasts and lessons and things like that on that. But what we know is that when we do that, we set an environment within our bodies to be intolerant to more and more and more foods. Okay, so addressing the root cause of that gut imbalance is looking at the body as a whole versus just eliminating. So, and I get it, if you're that uncomfortable with gluten and dairy, stay away from it at this time, and also be working on your gut chemistry to bring it back into balance. Okay, so let's just dive around that today. So I see everything from skin issues, I see brain fog, mental fatigue, burps, farts, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. I see it all happen with things like dairy and gluten intolerance. And so if we're wanting to get to that thing behind it, the step behind it, we need to understand what's happening in the gut first off. So let's just start. So we know that chronic stress, it's that day-to-day relentless little bites that get us, okay? It's not the big chase down a dinosaur, panic, that's what's going to go on. Nowadays, it's the chronic little bites that get us. It's the kids going, mum, mum, mum. It's the too much traffic. It's the just overwhelm life, all those kind of things. They affect our gut chemistry in such a big way, okay? And what we end up having is we've got gut microbiome, we've got microbiome everywhere through our body, but about 70% of it is actually in our gut, in our large intestine. And so when we're out of balance for too long, imagine a simple visual is we end up getting we kill down our good bacteria, and we end up having too much bad bacteria in relationship to our good bacteria. Okay, so we want to bring this back into balance. Now, this is a really simplified version, but just for you to get that easy visual and understanding why. So we know that stress hormones like cortisol increase our gut, our large intestine permeability. And you might have heard of things like leaky gut. Okay, so it's not that, hey, this is out of balance, let's just take something to bring that back into balance. We need to work on what the cause is behind it. That's what a naturopath does. We're always looking what's going on behind it. Let's fix the cause, not just the symptom. So stress has a part to play in our gut microbiome. It also has a big part to play just in the digestive enzymes. And I've talked about that relentlessly through all the mediums that I use to get messages out there. And when our gut enzymes are low enough for long enough, that's where our body reacts by saying, here, have some more acid to try and help cope with what's going on. And then you start getting things like reflux and stuff. And again, people go, well, I'm just going to eliminate, because my body's not breaking down things like gluten and lactose effectively, I'm just going to go without it. But you've still got a body that's out of whack and out of balance. And long term, if we don't bring that back into balance, we start getting other things going wrong. So we end up in this vicious cycle of stress and gut health. Okay, so stress and gut absolutely work together, and it's kind of like bidirectional. So it's kind of like when we stress out, stress out in our brains, our gut goes out of balance. But then when our gut's out of balance, it absolutely influences our mental health, because dysbiosis, which is leaky gut, can lead to inflammation, which is linked to, and we're not going to be taking up all the right amino acids. Our gut microbiome won't be in the right balance. And it ends up, simple things like our happy hormones aren't being fed. And so we get in this loop of whether it's all the way through to things like anxiety and depression, or if it's just simply thinking, fuck, it's too hard. Our mental health gets taxed. So our gut and brain 100% absolutely work together. And so we want to break the loop. We want to break this cycle, because otherwise the stress is going to keep sitting there, exacerbating the symptoms we're getting. And just eliminating things like gluten and dairy is not going to help you in one little bit. So that perpetual stress loop is always in motion until we go, stop, that's it, I've had enough, I'm going to break it at this loop. So let's talk about it. When our gut's out of balance, it can be hard to break down things like the proteins in gluten and dairy. So gluten is a protein, and it's found in wheat, rye, and barley. And then casein is a protein that's found in dairy. And it can be hard for a gut to deal with if the gut is compromised. Now, like I said before, it's like bloating, diarrhea, constipation, headaches, brain fog, joint pain, a lot of inflammation start happening. And that I understand the thinking to just get it out of your body, but we want to do it. So should we just eliminate gluten and dairy? No. Let's talk about fixing the problem. So here are some simple kind of things to think of to actually restore gut chemistry. The first one is we've got to look at diet. We want a diet really rich in fiber, because so many of the vegetable fibrous foods are prebiotics. What people don't realize is that we have prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. Prebiotics are our fiber-rich foods, and our pungents. Our pungents are things like garlic, onions, leeks, shallots. They're our pungent kind of foods. So we want them and our rich fiber foods to feed the fermented foods, which are our probiotics. So this is things like your misos and your tempehs and sauerkraut and kefir and yogurt and kimchi, all those. And kimchi is actually my favorite, just to throw that out there. So we've got to have the right prebiotics to feed our probiotics, to get our postbiotics, which are part of the picture. We actually have a tribiotic system happening in our body. And people just go, oh, my gut's bloated, I'm going to go and just have some probiotics. Yeah, but if you're still eating the wrong food, you're not even feeding that microbiome for it to be able to flourish and definitely produce the postbiotics. So you can be just having that little missing piece. So remember the pungents, remember the fiber-rich foods, and remember your fermented foods. They are excellent choices, pro to produce your post. We also have to look at our stress, whether we like it or not. And so I've done lots of, again, across every medium where I teach anything, from reels to podcasts to lessons and articles and blogs and everything. I talk about the impact of stress. So stress, high cortisol, is causing part of the problem. So we want to be able to, manage that. And I use a couple of things I do. One, I use sleep. Sleep is so important because our cortisol levels, it's meant to be replenishing itself during sleep time. And the very first podcast I ever did is number 1, which is all about sleep and burnout. So we know our adrenals need between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night to bring them back into balance. Nice and simple, start there. If you're having trouble getting to sleep, we need more calcium-rich foods, nuts, seeds, I love things like sesame seeds, and you need the flowery essential oils, things like lavender. Trouble staying asleep, you're generally low in magnesium, nuts and seeds, dark green veggies, and heavy essential oils like vetiver, which helps to ground out a busy brain. And then the other thing that complements adrenals for that, especially around sleep time, is adaptogen herbs. So adaptogen herbs help our body adapt to stress, and adaptogens are a class of herbs. They're not one herb. It's not just Siberian ginseng. It's not just ashwagandha or whatever. It's like it's a combination of herbs to be able, because we're not one body system. All of our body systems can go under stress. So there's different adaptogens that love to work on different elements of our stress and how our body's responding to it. So we've got to look at what's happening behind. Okay, yes, we need our pre-pro foods, biotic foods. We need to be able to manage that stress. We want to be able to help support the body with those digestive enzymes. And so simple things like, I'm such a big fan of kiwi fruit. Green kiwi fruit in particular is a great prebiotic, the fiber in it, but it's also rich in exactly the digestive enzyme that we need to get your gut chemistry, get that upper gut starting to come back into balance. But also some simple things like L-glutamine and zinc can also help support our gut lining as well. So we want to do everything we can nutritionally to be able to take the pressure off our digestive system so it can start healing again. Even boring stuff like water. Water is so important to help maintain that mucus lining. So anywhere open to the air, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, bum, is called it's a mucus system. Okay, so it's got like a protective lining to it, literally to help stop it drying out and everything. And so if we're not hydrated enough, that lining, the integrity of that lining of the intestines won't be intact. And so making sure you have enough hydration is really important. So for me, gluten and dairy intolerances aren't a big gluten and dairy intolerance. I never can have it again in my life. Well, I have worked with so many patients in clinic where all we've done is gone, yep, stay off it for the moment. And let's get your gut back into balance. Let's manage your stress and then see what your body's really doing. Now, your body runs a blood cycle that is 3 months. Every 3 months, it's like you've got a new gut chemistry. So if you can focus on things like sleep, your nutrition, hydration, bringing up enzymes, really feeding your body those pre and probiotic kind of foods, you have no idea where your gut can be in 3 months' time. And I know that everyone I've worked with in the past who's had a gluten and dairy intolerance has been able to come back into balance. Don't just eliminate. Otherwise, you've still got things like dysbiosis and leaky gut, which is being driven from that stress and everything, still happening in your body, and all you've done is eliminate. We want to restore our gut chemistry. We want to be able to come from a place of prevention and reduce and eliminate the intolerances that are impacting our overall health, not just reduce or eliminate the foods that are reacting to the fact that our body is out of health. Stop doing Band-Aids. And if you're going to supplement, if you're looking for something, go for a tribiotic, not just a probiotic, and make sure you're eating the right foods to be able to bring that gut microbiome back into balance. Dairy and gluten are not the evil that people make them out to be. Our body is just bloody tired and stressed on the inside. That's all it is. Bring it back into balance. Fix the cause, not the symptom.